day, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Seekers of Meaning, the podcast TV arm of Jewish Sacred Aging. I'm your host, Rabbi Richard Address. Thank you very, very much for joining us. We appreciate your time and attention to what we hope will be a very, very interesting and informative conversation. As you know, these podcasts, part of Jewish Sacred Aging, are designed to speak to issues that impact our growing demographic of older adults within the Jewish community, the impact of longevity on our lives, and not only our family lives, but our spiritual lives. And if you'd like to contact us, please feel free to email me at Rabbi Address at jewishsacredaging.com and visit the website jewishsacredaging.com. It's real simple. So we are very pleased and honored to welcome from Beit Shemesh and the greater Jerusalem area, Mirit Hoffman, an elder care attorney in Israel. And she's agreed to come on and have a conversation about some of the issues in Israel with older adults in Israel, some of the elder care law concerns, dealing with also people from the United States and in Israel, which does affect some people. We have kids who go make Aliyah and their parents are back here, and it's all kinds of craziness. Probably some of you know some of the people we're talking about. Mirit, it's nice to see you. Welcome. How you doing?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing okay, taking all the circumstances into consideration, wars and such.
You're safe. Everybody's safe, and
thank God everybody's safe. Yeah.
So you're outside of Jerusalem, and you're an elder care attorney in Israel. Well, talk to me about your impression of how, because things in the United States are changing with older adults. Legislatively, this week there was a big series of articles. They actually gave us the date when Social Security is going to start running out of money. I think it's 2032 and Medicare in 2033. So things are very fluid here. Talk to me about the condition of elders in the state of Israel as you see it in your work.
Okay, so first of all, just a little bit of background.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest role is being a mother of three. I'm also an elder law lawyer, and I'm also a gerontologist. So you spoke about the roles. So first of all, there's longevity, which is basically impacting everybody, meaning we're living longer. My grandparents, when they became old, they thought they were old in their late 60s, and, they were retired, and they sat on the couches and watched TV, basically, and that was the end of that. People here retire in their late 60s and have a whole new life that they can build for themselves. So longevity is a very big impact. It impacts also on the way you see yourself as an adult, as an older adult. It also is very different for how your children see you as well. So, when they say age is just a number, here in Israel, people really take that into consideration, that age is just a number. Saying that, people are getting older. As we get older, we have all kinds of illnesses that attack us as we get older, like Alzheimer's, dementia, and things like that. So that's not something that's far off. We do need to prepare ourselves accordingly. And I find in Israel that people are taking that more into consideration, especially within the elder crowd. There was a lot of superstition involved about preparing a will, because that means that you're about to die, or we're not going to prepare for, we're going to have Alzheimer's, or prepare for something that may happen. Now I think children are more working on their parents to discuss it and to talk about these issues, which is, I think, a real blessing for the whole family. And then, ultimately to actually work on preparing your estate planning in Israel, which has become more popular. I know that in America, it's a very known thing. Here in Israel, it's becoming more popular.
Before we move on, let's also get this out. Your website, in case somebody here wants to connect with you about a family issue or something like that, could you share your website or how somebody would get in touch with you?
Sure. So my website is lawmirit.com. Very, very simple. I also have WhatsApp on my phone, so you can contact me by WhatsApp. It's 972-522-407-999.
So that's lawmirit.com is the web,
yes.
Is the contact. Okay.
Yes.
When I go on that, you have a column there called Enduring Power of Attorney.
Right.
So what is that?
Enduring power of attorney is what in America is called the durable power of attorney. The durable power of attorney is a relatively new document in Israel. It's only from 2018.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So, and the idea for this document to be prepared in advance to bypass the whole need for guardianship in Israel, which is, cumbersome and goes through the court, and there's a lot of bureaucratic thing involved, and it takes a very long time to prepare it, to get it, until it's issued. With the durable power of attorney, there's two sides to it. One is the parents are preparing it in advance for a time that they hope they'll never have to use it, but if they have it, they're very happy that they have it. It makes people think. It becomes something that you have a conversation with your children about. It's something that, really forces you to think about all these things that you don't really want to think about really during your lifetime, but you have to in this case because the document is tailor-made to your needs, which means you have to actually write in the document what you would like or how you would like your life to be handled in the event that you can no longer do so.
How enforceable is that now in Israel?
Oh, it's totally enforceable. Meaning it's a document that you prepare, you submit it with the Administrator General, which is the government office in charge of these documents. And then if needed to be activated, the powers of attorney themselves will activate the document. There's no court involved, according to the instruction that the person himself had put in the document of how to activate it. Once it's activated, the banks need to honor it. The doctors need to honor it. It's totally enforceable.
So you mentioned something, again, this, unless I misheard you, a national government ministry where this is registered?
Yes.
Talk to me about that because it's very obviously very different than here.
Right. So in Israel, the way this document works is that you prepare it in advance. Again, it's tailor-made to your needs. You need a lawyer, by the way, to prepare it. Not anybody can just do it. And the lawyer has to be one that is authorized to prepare these documents. So once you have a lawyer prepare it, everybody needs to sign it, meaning the person that's preparing it, the family members that you're appointed as a power of attorney, the lawyer has to verify everybody's signatures. It's a very formal procedure. And then this document is submitted just for safekeeping. Nothing happens with it to the government office that's in charge of it, which is the Administrator General here in Israel. And if needed be, it will be activated according to the instruction that the person had put in the document itself, and it will be activated by the powers of attorney that he had appointed.
Wow. Are you finding more intergenerational awareness now about this document and the need to have it?
Yes, because of, again, the longevity factor, people are living longer, which is a very nice advantage for people. On the other hand, because they're living longer, there's a lot of illnesses that attack them as they age, which is Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and we know that the numbers are growing, which causes people, if not themselves, but their family members, their children, to say, Mom, Dad, we'd really like to have a document in place here. If, God forbid, something happens, how do you want your affairs to be handled? Who would you like your affairs to be handled by? We are 3 children. We don't know. And the result would be that we're going to argue about it. So parents, even though maybe they don't want to talk about these things, because who really wants to talk about these things, are forced because we do a lot of things for our children. This is one of the things that we're doing for our children's sake, to avoid family disputes and also to be very clear how we want our affairs to be handled if and when this document is ever activated.
Have you ever gotten in a situation with a more observant family who said, but before we do this, we got to talk to the Rebbe?
100%. When this document was just introduced to Israel in 2018, we had up-teen seminars, including the fact that there's no halachic problem for people who are Orthodox to prepare this document. The only issue would be regarding end-of-life medical instructions. And then it's very clear that they can state in the document that they would like, the family to consult with their rabbi.
Yeah, it's because that again is given the difference in culture here and in Israel. But as people who are regulars to this and some of the classes we do at the Jewish Sacred Aging, you know that there's a wide variety of halachic approaches to how we deal with end of life. And it's very humane and contextual. Although the debate here in the United States right now is the legalization of medical aid in dying. which is growing and growing. We live in a state where it's legal in New Jersey. And so there's some interesting controversies and concerns denominationally, if that's a word, about the halakhic acceptance of medical aid in dying.
Just to mention, taking into consideration that legislation here in Israel doesn't allow that. So in Israel, the legislation and halacha are very much hand to hand in a lot of things, not in everything, but in a lot of things, which makes it very easy, because it's very clear cut what you're allowed to ask for, what you're not allowed to ask for, regardless.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, it's one of the reasons why we want to have this conversation with you, is that people can see that there are significant differences culturally, obviously, and moving to Israel is not just like, transporting Long Island or Cherry Hill, New Jersey to the Middle East, Lahabdil. I would imagine, given what you're saying, then that part of your role is really doing a lot of what we would call pastoral counseling or legal counseling with members of families. Are you seeing in your experience more reluctance to talk about these issues from the adult children or from people in my generation?
I don't think there's a very clear cut, meaning it could well be, it depends who approaches me first. Let's just start with that. If the elder person, who is going to be ultimately my client, approaches, they're very forthcoming with what they want. They're very understanding this is a central document for them. Nobody had to push them to do this. They've heard maybe lectures or they spoke to me beforehand. They are in the know. And then it's much easier to explain it. If the person is coming to me because their children suggested it or their children heard, a lecture about it, then the approach is different, because then I feel like I need to a little bit educate the client before we actually start working, so that he understands why it's important to him, because he's not necessarily sure why it is.
So again, we're talking with Mirit Hoffman, an elder care attorney, gerontologist, and if I remember correctly, a lover of dark chocolate.
Yeah, that's true.
No, well, listen, that elevates you to the higher level of taste, because it's one of the 5 basic food groups, as we all know.
Absolutely.
And the website lawmirit, LAWMIRIT.com, one continuous word.
Correct.
Do you deal with the families in Israel and the United States who may have issues, maybe making aliyah, or in illness situations or death situations where you have maybe the kids living in Jerusalem or Tel Aviv or whatever, and parents still living in Philly or in the United States? How often do you get involved with those types of situations?
The situations that actually see more are when the families have moved here. They moved to Israel. They made aliyah because maybe one of the children or 2 of the children have lived here, and they still have children living in America. And then they come to me and say, okay, we come from a background of the importance of estate planning, because in America, it's much more, in the know. We would like to do the same here, because we understand that the documents that we prepare in America really won't apply to Israel. So we're okay with preparing it. But we have an issue, because we want our kids in America to also be involved. How would we go about that? And that is a whole different conversation.
Talk to me about that. What can you, without divulging, confidentially, give me some of the scenarios that you've had to deal with? Because there may be people watching or listening to this in the course of whenever who are entering that ballpark.
Sure. So first of all, it's important to understand that there is a way to be able to appoint the children living in America as well as the children living in Israel to make some decisions. Financial decisions can be an issue because the banks in Israel are very reluctant when there's somebody that doesn't have an Israeli ID to be able to handle one's affairs in Israel. But the other affairs like medical or personal, because remember, this document in Israel is an all-inclusive. It's not like in America where there's a financial durable power of attorney, a medical durable power of attorney. In Israel, it's an all-inclusive document, which includes everything.
Oh, wow. That's good. See, that's, again, very, very different.
Very different.
So when you say everything, so I have a durable power of attorney for healthcare, my healthcare proxy,
right.
Did it with my lawyer. Everything's cool. But we have then like myself and my friend, we have a financial advisor. And so you're saying in Israel, everything, this document is designed to cover A to Z, or, for everything, correct?
A to Z, apart from end of life. End of life medical instructions. I think in America it's called a living will.
Yeah.
So that is a separate document. Everything else, medical wise, until you reach that stage, is part of this durable power of attorney in Israel, including your financials. Yes, it's from A to Z. Again, financials in Israel only. It will not include your financials in America. So that's another point. If you have elders that have made aliyah to Israel, a lot of the times they still have bank accounts in America, investments in America. They have maybe one small account here in Israel where they transfer money from America to Israel to use as needed. In that case, they would need to document. They would need their financial durable power of attorney in America in order to allow their children, usually that live in America, to transfer the money to Israel. And they have their Israeli enduring power of attorney, which will allow the people appointed in it to be able to handle the money once it's here.
And then a separate document for, these are my wishes at the end of life.
Right. Just for end of life. Correct.
Because in my healthcare proxy, it covers the scenarios of my wishes at end of life. And nominates the people who, if I'm unable to speak for myself, who are empowered to make that decision, because we've talked about it.
Right. So it's the same here.
So what I'm also hearing you saying is, if I'm considering making aliyah to Israel, one of the stops along the way is with you, because I have to really recreate a lot of these documents so that they are viable and legal within the state of Israel. I just can't transfer everything from the state of New Jersey. Is that correct?
Correct. That is correct.
Okay. Does that include, and I would imagine in the course of your practice, you've run into this, does that include like burial sites? I mean, like, I have property here in New Jersey. I'm making aliyah. I'm not going to be buried in New Jersey. I want to be buried in Israel. Do I see you as well for that?
I definitely put it as a request in the durable power of attorney. I also very much recommend that the family communicate with each other. The parents talk about it to their, to the whole family, and very much express that this is what they want. Taking into consideration, first of all, some people put it in a will. I don't see the point of it because the will is only opened after the person has been buried.
Yeah,
in the durable power of attorney, it's good because it's a transparent document which is shown and seen to the people involved even before it's been activated, because they need to sign on it. So they read it and they see that this is the wish, these are the wishes. But, people tend to forget. And if this document is never activated because the person, passed away and he was completely competent, I also make it very, very clear that it's really important to communicate this, especially if it's a very important thing for people. And usually it is a very important thing for people where they would like to be buried, to make sure that it is, communicated within the family, and even have a special folder, like important folder in your house, which would be accessible to the people that you want it to be accessible, which includes all important information. One of them would be your letter of wishes of where you would like to be buried.
How many people should see these documents? Because I know when we go out and do workshops on this, people say, well, I have all that document. And you say, well, where is it? I said, well, it's in a safe deposit box. I said, that's impossible. Okay. So we always recommend people, not only your family, the people who are concerned, your lawyer, your rabbi, the doctors. Does that work the same way in Israel? If I'm sitting in front of you, we're signing all these documents, to whom should I share all these documents with?
So first of all, let's go with simple wills. As an example, I always recommend you make a few original copies of wills. You keep one by you, and you give one to each child, or at least to two out of the ex-children, so that everybody has it in the event that one gets lost. In Israel, probate is essential for a will, and they need to probate the originally signed will. So you make a few originally signed wills, and you make sure that you have more than one you have one by you and at least one or two by other people as a safekeeping. Regarding the durable power of attorney, what happens is once it's been deposited and I got confirmation of it being deposited at this government office, I send the document to all the children that are appointed as powers of attorney, and they need to make sure that they keep it in a place which is, for them, that they know where it is. So the parents have it and all the powers of attorney have it.
That's very important. Very, very important. Your perception right now, Israel is changing as the United States is changing. You're a gerontologist as well. So you see what we call the longevity revolution, people living longer, living better. What's your perception of how Israeli society now is treating this growth in older adults?
Well, there's the fifth commandment, honor your father and mother.
I'm familiar with that one, yeah.
There you go. So it's very deeply embedded in Israeli culture here. I mean, it's something, even regardless of the fact that you're religious, not religious,
yeah,
it's a very big factor of life that you honor your elders, regardless if they have a document or don't have a document. It's very, very deeply embedded. People have bigger families in Israel. So, the responsibilities is also split between the various siblings if needed, and also the grandchildren, because there's longevity, which means the grandchildren are also old enough, some of them, to be able to also help with grandma and grandpa if needed. We have the same challenges as well, meaning children, some of them are starting to move out of the country and live abroad. A lot of them are still working long hours, have financial pressures, have families of their own. So, the fact that it could be split between siblings is very helpful. But even if it isn't, it's something that people just feel that they need to do. It's their responsibility. One of the things that people feel that they need to do as well is to ensure that their parents are honored, that their wishes are honored. And that's when the conversation of, Mom and Dad, please prepare a will, please prepare a durable power of attorney for your sake and for our sake, so that when crisis, happens, if God forbid crisis happens, we all know what to do. We all know how to handle it. We all know what you want. That's part also of, honoring your father and mother.
It is. Are you experiencing in Israel this rapid growth because of the aging of population, of continuing care retirement communities, older adult communities, assisted living facilities, memory care facilities? You can go to some of the cities and almost in every block there's a new one popping up. Are you experiencing the same thing in Israel, or is there more attempt of families have a responsibility to take care and you'll move in with us as opposed to going into a facility?
Actually, a lot of my clients want to stay at home. They want to stay at home with a caregiver. Some are okay with a granny flat, with their children. A lot of them prefer not to be moved to a facility. All those things that you expressed about, these daycare places or places that, brain activity places are definitely popping up, but it's more of how can we do it at home? Meaning it'll be an online lesson for parents. There's a lot of online going around, meaning how can we ensure that the parents stay at home because that's what they prefer to do, and bring everything to them.
Right. The aging in place thing here is growing because
yes, aging in place. Exactly.
Yeah. Most of my friends, and of our generation say we've been there with our parents. We don't want to go there. But of course, the economics in the United States are perhaps different than the economics of aging in Israel. It's very expensive to go into certain of these facilities. It's also very expensive to bring in healthcare workers to my home 4, 5, 6 hours because I have to pay for that myself, or my kids have to pay for it. So in Israel, for people as they age, how much government assistance to take care of me or support caregiving is there?
There is quite a lot of it's through the Social Security. So everybody pays Social Security just like in America. And part of the perks, so to speak, of Social Security is that in the event that you need it, depending on, your physical incapabilities, also your mental incapabilities, but also your physical, you get X amount of hours a day, which a lot of it is paid by the government in order to enable you to do aging in place, exactly like you said. Because also in Israel, the good places, the good facilities are expensive.
Yeah. So what I want to make sure that people understand, if I'm in Israel and I need somebody to come in to help me, basic task of daily living tasks, 5 hours a day, so that I can stay in my flat, the government will help pay for that. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yes. Also, depending when people, as people come when they're older, the help might be significantly less. For people that have lived here and paid, Social Security all their lives, then the help will be more. It depends on that. So there's a lot of factors to take into consideration.
So even more reason that somebody who's contemplating all this, to move everything, needs to sit down with you and literally walk through all this, because it's very, very different, as you're explaining, than perhaps what we have here in the United States.
Correct.
Before we run out of time, I just want to give you again, Mirit is Mirit, LAWMIRIT.com. And what's the WhatsApp number?
972-522-407-999.
Best piece of advice that you can give people who are listening, contemplating either making Aliyah or have kids in Israel or are living in Israel, because we have people who are living in Israel who watch this as well. Best piece of advice.
Wow. One piece of advice. Best piece of advice. Well, I think communication is key as we get older. So it's really about how to plan now. I feel it's planning now so your family doesn't have to pay for it later. Not paying money, but paying as in the emotional, the legal, the logistical price that families pay when there's nothing set, in advance. I think it's to avoid, I think people need to look at it, first of all, we do everything for our children. We would do anything for our children as they grow older. There's different things. When they were younger, we did X. When they got older, we had to do other stuff. We became their taxi drivers and drove them all places. This is one of the things that if you don't want to do for yourself because you find it difficult to discuss, do it for the sake of your children. It's something that I feel it's like the greatest gift that you can give to yourself and to your family.
It is a gift. And I'm sure if you lined up every elder care attorney here and in Israel and every clergy, and say, have you been involved with a situation with a family that actually did all this? And when the time came, the surviving children said, one of the best gifts that we were given was this was all taken care of. Everybody knew what was coming. We didn't have to sit down and in grief and in crisis, try to make some decisions that really we could have made quietly years ago. Mirit Hoffman, thank you very, very much. Continue Haslacha. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully we'll see each other. So take care and be well. And again, much appreciation for your time and what you're doing, and enjoy that chocolate.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Our pleasure, our honor. To all of you, thank you very, very much for joining us on today's edition of Seekers of Meaning, the podcast TV arm of Jewish Sacred Aging. We really do appreciate your time. Again, if you'd like to contact us, email me at Rabbi Address at jewishsacredaging.com. Visit the website. You will find on the website, if you'd like to support these podcasts, a very conveniently located donate button. If you click on that and just follow the prompts, we appreciate your support. Seekers of Meaning is produced at the Broadcast Center of Lubetkin Media in beautiful Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And a big shout out to our genius guru, technological genius, Steve Lubetkin, our producer. To all of you, until we see each other on the next Seekers of Meaning, take care of yourself, take care of other people, and most of all, in this day and age, be kind to one another. Todah, Shalom.